Many see the Battle of Marathon as the first battle of the Persian Wars, yet with the Ionian Revolt one may be a little premature with that assumption. However, the Battle of Marathon was indeed the first true invasion of the Persians on the Greek mainland. The Battle of Marathon does not begin with the Greeks, however. In fact, it begins with their opponents, the Persians. The Persians had been vassals of the Empire of Media, and the name Media would go on to give the Greeks their nickname for Persians, the Medes. When reading ancient sources, one may come across the idea and the term Medizing. This is where a group of people or an individual is seen to take on Eastern traditions and is used by the Greeks as some sort of slander. However, under the rulership of Cyrus the Great, the Persians revolted and claimed the Median Empire for themselves. They did not stop, and soon the Empire of Lydia was weary of their power. Under a Delphic oracle advising him to fight the Persians, Emperor Croesus fought against them and lost in the process, and with it his empire. The Persians would go on to conquer Babylon and Egypt, but with the fall of Lydia they were now in direct contact with the Greeks of Ionia. The Greeks in Ionia had been ruled by Croesus beforehand, and as Herodotus writes, Croesus was the first time that a Greek was ruled by a foreign power. Yet after the fall of Lydia, there was some confusion to whom truly ruled over the Ionian cities, whether they were independent or whether they were under this new Persian Empire. This is mainly fact to the way that Persia ruled her empire with semi-independent satraps. This meant that some regions were more independent than many would believe. However, in Ionia the city soon revolted. The revolt was supported primarily by the Athenians, who believed that they had the same lineage as the Ionian cities. From this, they would try and gain some sort of hegemony over the Ionian cities that would be later used in building their own empire. While initially successful, the Ionian revolt was crushed and King Darius vowed his revenge. With victory over the Ionians secured, Darius looked to Thrace and its material riches. Soon, he conquered the south of the region. The stage was now set for war between the Eastern Empire and the free western poleis of the Greek city. According to Herodotus, Darius took a naval route up past Naxos. Herodotus also writes that the Persian fleet numbered around 600 ships and was unopposed until it landed in Attica. A pause in the narrative is needed here to explain some of the differences between Greek and Persian forces. The Greeks were primarily made up of citizen soldiers known as hoplites. The name for these soldiers came from the large hoplon shield that they carried. They were well armoured and equipped with a spear and sword. The Greeks normally fought in a phalanx formation or a close shield wall that was slow yet well defended. The Persians, on the other hand, were lightly armoured troops, levies drawn from across the empire, primarily armed with bows and various close quarter weapons. Persian and Greek were two very different forces. On the plains of Marathon, the Greek forces numbered around 10,000, and they were outnumbered 2-1 against the Persians. Making up this group were primarily Athenian soldiers, of about 9,000 strong. Therefore, to accommodate the numbers, the Greeks decided to spread their line. This meant the centre of the line spread to about 4 ranks deep, compared however to the ends and flanks of their line, which were about 8 ranks deep. The Persians, compared to the Greeks, however, were set in 2 different ranks, lightly armoured troops towards the front and more heavily armoured troops at the back. On the flanks, the Persians had their all-important cavalry that would become very useful in the battle later on. It was the Greeks who made the first move towards the Persians, marching towards the sea. The Persians remained stationary, awaiting attack of the numerically inferior force. The Greek forces were led by their centre. The commander on the Greek side was Callimachus. The Greek forces were a mixed group, as already said. However, with the overwhelming majority of Athenians using their new democracy, the Athenians had 10 commanders or strategoi elected every year. Amongst this was Callimachus, who was elected the polearch and the overall commander with the casting lot.
I front!
As the centre approached the range and arrows of the Persian, the Greek forces did something unseen in warfare until this point. They ran. This was new as it was believed that the equipment of the hoplites made running impossible. The heavy armour and the amount of weaponry they carried would weigh them down. However, the Greeks met the centre of the Persians with full force. However, when they did, they faced tough resistance. The Persians held the centre, and it was not long until the cavalry that were deployed on the Persian flanks charged and caused the centre of the Greeks to rout. However, despite this, the Persian concentration had been on the weaker Greek centre, despite the Greeks deploying the best fighters to that area. Therefore, the flanks of the Greeks soon came into play, enveloping the Persians on both sides. With this turn of events, the Greek centre rallied and charged into the fray once more, acting as the final hammer blow that defeated the Persian troops and sent them running to their ships. There is a story that the brother of the playwright Aeschylus, who would write a play called The Persians, attempted to hold on to a Persian ship while the Persians were embarking. However, when he was spotted, a Persian cut off his hand and Chirogyrus was killed. Chirogyrus. There's a lot of different ways of pronouncing that name, but we're going to go with that one. Herodotus then records that around 6,500 Persian bodies were counted at Marathon, the Athenians 192, and the Plataeans, who made up the other 1,000 of the Greek forces, 11. Among these dead was Callimachus as well, the polemarch of the Greek forces. The Persian Wars can be seen as a metaphor for the East versus West conflict that is still rife in culture today. A written text that is very good at looking at this idea is Said's Orientalism. A little bit dated nowadays, but you can still get the general drift of where he's trying to go. There is also this idea of Greek self-identity that is born after the Persian Wars, primarily in Athens. One work for this would be Edith Hall's Inventing the Barbarian. She primarily looks at Attic drama as well as other cultural establishments from the Athenians, and perhaps, in my view, is a little narrow-sighted. If you want to look at the other side of the view, look at Eric Gruen's Rethinking the Other. Not only does he just look at the Greeks and Persians and various other barbarians around them, but he also looks at the Romans and other barbarians and the other throughout history. The the final and more historical note we should take about the aftermath of the Persian Wars is perhaps the Athenian Empire. Born out of the Delian League, a league of city-states primarily made to defend against Persia, the Athenians came to exploit their allies, creating an empire out of it which would lead them down the road to war, this time with a much closer ally in Sparta. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I do apologise profusely that we have to have done a re-upload so quickly after the first episode was released, but there was an issue with the rendering, and I'd like to appreciate all the comments about the audio quality. They have hopefully been addressed now with a brand new microphone. So I know I was aware that the microphone wasn't very good before we started, but this is one of the things, I wasn't sure whether I could afford going into it, but I've had to go out and get it anyway. But hey, I'd like to thank Minast for providing the Persians in this battle. He was the one who was playing as them, and he acted as their kind of, their commander, and he was extremely good. So thank you very much, Minast. If you would like to support us and support History Through Games, please like, share, and subscribe this video. Also, as you'll see in the description below, we do have a Patreon page that is for supporting us. If you just want to kind of get things about news about what's coming up, trailers, and as and when we see how it goes, see how much people enjoy this, we'll see what bonuses there can be. But yes, once again, we'd like to thank you very much for watching today. Thank you very much for your support so far, and hope to see you very soon in the future. I've been Lozy. Thank you very much.